Hello, this is Kenny at the General Paintball Museum. Today I'll be taking apart the Tippmann Pro Lite and putting it back together. First step is to remove the bolt right below the barrel. This allows the shroud and elbow to be removed, and sometimes the barrel. The next thing we'll be doing is removing the grip frame. The grip frame is held in place by 4 screws. They are held in with a threaded hub between the 2 screws on each side. They also hold the valve lock in place, so if you have one of these come out, keep an eye out for that little square of metal that could fall out that was held in place by these threaded sleeves that hold the grip frame on. The next step we'll be doing is removing the airline. This allows the grip frame to come off completely. I use an adjustable open-ended wrench to remove it. There's an adapter that is in there also. They could come out together or they could come out separate. The one going on the grip frame is a compression fitting, and the one that goes into the valve is a threaded fitting. Next step, we'll be removing the upper sight rail. There are 2 set screws that hold this in place, and then it slides off the front. Next, we'll be removing the back cap, which exposes the spring guide, and buffer. There's the cocking knob, pulls straight out the side, and then the linkage arm comes out the top. Remove the velocity screw, allows the power tube to be removed. Remove the rear hammer out of the back of the gun. Now we're going to remove the valve. Tapping it out the back or using a little persuasion, but use something with a flat end so it doesn't damage the tip of the power tube. This is the valve. I use a 2x4, a sock, and then I slide the valve in there to hold it in place so I don't stab my finger. You'll need a stout pick that can pull the ring out. Then you work the pick around, sometimes pressing down with a screwdriver or other object to take some pressure off the brass ring pushing up on the clip ring. And then you just work it out. This is not an easy process. Keep in mind the ring is fairly thin metal and can bend and break easily, so use caution. Pressing down a little bit to help relieve some of the pressure off of it to get it out. There are different types. One has clips on it and one's like a keychain. Then you got the valve seat and the cup seals and spring inside the valve there. The cup seals have the black gasket inside the ends of those, and you want to make sure you oil or lubricate those. Next is the grip frame. You remove the 2 screws that hold it together, and then you have to pull back on the ASA just slightly to allow the clamshells to come apart. You also need to remove the safety button, which is sometimes held in with a snap ring. This marker is missing that snap ring. Then everything just pulls straight up, and you have the different various parts. And that is the disassembly. Reassembling the marker, start with the power tube and valve, making sure you put the valve in the correct direction. I use a blunt object to push it back in gently. And then put the velocity screw back in. And install the airline adapter. I've pre-Teflon this. I know the one end is a compression fitting, but I have better luck when I Teflon it also. Use a socket there, deep well, to install the airline adapter. Reinstalling the hammer into the back of the marker. Installing the linkage arm between the front bolt and rear bolt. Now sliding the sight rail back onto the marker and putting the set screws in. Slide the cocking knob in through the side. The spring and spring guide will hold this in place. Sliding the end cap back onto the marker. Sometimes there is some resistance. You need to line up the spring guide with the rear bolt hole. Then reinstall the ball latch, making sure it is facing the right direction to cradle the ball and not catch the front bolt when it cycles. This can be easier if the marker is cocked back so that the front bolt is not over top of it. Then reinstalling the trigger spring and trigger, the sear pin, sear, and sear spring. Then putting the clamshells back together, sliding the ASA forward because that lower, longer bolt of the two will go back through the ASA actually as it goes through the grip. After you get done, make sure that the bolt's seated properly on the nuts. Put your safety pin back through, and then there would be a clip ring there that would hold the safety in place. Now reinstall the valve lock and the sleeves for the trigger screws, trigger frame screws, and then reattach the airline. It is a stout airline, so it's kind of not as flexible as most. Using an open-ended adjustable wrench again to tighten it up. Don't over-tight the airline adapter into the gun because it will pinch the valve spring. Then reinstalling the 4 grip frame screws into their threaded hubs, adapters, making sure that the valve lock is also in before you set these screws in. Now install the elbow shroud again, slide it over, then install the bolt. Tighten up. Don't over tighten until the barrel is in. And there you have it.